So just a quick little overview for what I'm using for props today. I have this blanket that I'm using. I just like to use this. We'll use this again at the end for a little bit of restorative. But a blanket or a beach towel is nice to have handy. It's always good to have something to sit on, and it's good for the knees when we're in our tabletop positions or any of our knee postures. I also have 2 yoga blocks handy, and this is not necessary, but it's sometimes good to have it to bring the earth up to you. If you do not have blocks handy at home, books are always a nice option. So we'll go ahead and get started here, arriving into our space. Kind of like to shift and get all the little wiggles and movement out. Like I said, I'm using this blanket. I like to sit on the very edge of that blanket. That way that just tilts my pelvis a little bit and gets my hips up a little bit higher than my knees. You do not have to sit with the legs crossed like this. If it's comfortable like this, then please do so, or you can take them out long or even into a V shape. I'm going to find those little bit of wiggles, get those fidgets out. And when you're ready to arrive in your space, go ahead and roll the shoulders up towards the ears and then relax them down the back. Staying tall in the spine, maybe just lean back slightly so that we can get that head really in that traction movement of head over the spine. Close the eyes down, and let's take a nice deep inhale in through the nose. And an open mouth exhale, sigh it out and let it go. Inhale in. Exhale, release and let it go. Looks like we have somebody else joining us. Continue to keep that breath. Breathing in and sighing out. Take a few more moments with the eyes shut down, just feeling into the body. Noticing where the breath travels in the body. If there's a space where it stops, see if maybe you can breathe into that space. Just a few more moments, checking in, leaving our to-do list outside the mat. On our next inhale, let's dip the chin down towards the chest. We're going to keep those shoulders rolled away from the ears and just breathe into the back of the neck. Draw a line with the nose, open up into the throat, and peek up towards the ceiling. Gently release the chin back down towards the chest, and then we're going to take the right ear over towards right shoulder. If we'd like a little bit more sensation, you can bring that palm right above the ear on that left side, but just make sure that we're not pulling or tugging down. Just adding a little extra gravity here. You can take the hand to the back of the skull and then just gently guide the chin so that we're peeking over towards that left shoulder. Again, not dragging or pressing too hard, just a little extra gravity. Now, looking for a little resistance, start to pick the head up and peek up towards the ceiling on that right side, and then press the head into the hand and the hand into the head. Getting this nice stretch in the neck, but also starting to get that stretch in the armpit chest on that right side. Release the hand from the head and gently bring the head back in towards center. Chin dips down towards the chest. Take your time to bring that ear over to the left side. And it's completely optional to add the hand. You can just continue to use this movement without the hand, or you can take the palm and press it right above the ear. Checking in and seeing how this side feels compared to the other. Taking the hand to the back of the head, very gently tip that chin in towards that right side, but keeping the ear over towards the left. Kind of compare this to peeking in and seeing what's in your pocket right here. If you have a shirt with a pocket on, or a shirt with a pocket, yeah. Take your time to press into the hand and just peek up a little bit towards the sky. Release the hand gently from the back of the head and bring the head back up to center. Draw the shoulders up towards the ears and then relax them down the back. Let's do that twice more. Draw the shoulders up towards the ears and then release down. One last time. Elbows come up, kind of make this a dramatic movement and then release it down. Let's go ahead and dip that chin back down towards the chest. We'll find a few either half neck rolls or full neck rolls, whatever feels good in the neck. Just be very cautious as we move the head around. The head can be very heavy and the neck kind of tender and fragile. So we just want to take our time and not jerk the head around or drop it too far back or forward, just using control. And if you are finding full neck rolls, the next time that chin meets chest, let's reverse that direction to the other side. And when you're ready, go ahead and center the head back up, stacking head over spine. Bringing the palms to the front, we're going to snuggle the thumb behind the shoulder blade and the forefingers in front. Grow tall here and draw that belly button in. Let's very slowly twist over towards the right side. Elbow comes forward. Release to center and then over to the opposite side. Let's do that slow one more time. Exhale as we come into center. Inhale as we twist to right. Center the body and then over to the left. Come back to center and we're just going to pick up the cadence a little bit here. It's entirely up to you how fast you want to go as we twist side to side. Keeping those sit bones grounded on the earth and those elbows up high. Just twist a little bit faster. We're working down the spine here, starting with the head. Now we're just in the upper part of the shoulders and the spine. Rotate a few more times. And if you'd like to kind of fire up that inner body, you can start with an inhale, exhale. So an inhale on the right, exhale on the left. Just a few more moments here. Complete that rotation and then come back to center. Release the hands down to the knees. Release the shoulders down. Just notice how that little bit of movement is waking up the body. So now working down the spine a little bit more. Hands are on top of the knees. We're going to guide that chest over towards that right knee. Take it to the left and then all the way up and through. So create these circles a few times. And you'll notice not only are we getting the spine nice and awake, we're starting to wake up the hip flexors here as we shift from side to side. Those of you that have practiced with me before hear this all the time, that this is my favorite movement. And the reason why I love it so much is it's great, like I said, for spine and hip flexors. But we start to stir that Kundalini energy up from the base of the spine. And also this is really good for digestion. Highly suggest doing this in the morning or in the evening before bed, because we kind of help aid that digestion as we find these circles. And to even get a little bit deeper in and brush the belly across the top of those legs will really help as well to aid in that digestion. And we start to get a little bit deeper and pick up the pace a little bit more. And the next time that we're upright, let's switch that direction, coming now over to the opposite side and twist all the way through. And if you start to feel a little bit more open, you can take the hands and press those knees, press those thighs down. And if you are seated with the legs out long, this is beneficial as well. Just spend a few more moments rotating around. One more big soupy grind, and then come all the way back up to seated. Growing tall, let's bring the fingertips up high. Roll the shoulders down the back. See if you can reach and stretch just a little bit more. And then bring that right palm down to the earth. Take that left hand overhead. Left hip stays down. Press that thumb back, 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 and open the chest here. Really feel that good side body stretch. Bend into that right elbow so that we can shift back up and then rotate, cartwheel, and bring now that right hand down, or excuse me, left hand down on earth. Right hand stretches and reaches. Bringing that thumb back, that chest back. Open up into the side body here. Keep breathing. Now bending into that elbow close to the earth to help spring you back up to top, and then gentle the hands all the way down. Draw hands into heart center, and on that inhale, bring the fingertips up. Exhale, draw the circle all the way around and back to center again. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, fingertips come up. Exhale, draw the hands all the way out to the side, and then palms come back into heart center. So roughly we've been working for about 15 minutes, and I just want you to feel just that little bit of movement, how that energy wakes up the body and gets you ready for the day. Release the palms, and we're going to come into a straight leg position. So coming into our staff pose, you can continue to use that blanket to keep those hips up a little bit higher. Move my blocks out of the way so you can see my toes. So go ahead and shift here now with changing the position of our legs. Starting with the ground up, we're going to build into this pose. We're going to turn the toes so that they're facing towards the body. So press those toes forward and keep pressing into the heels. You'll feel that engagement in the legs, but let's take it just a little bit more by pulling up on the kneecaps so you can feel right away how our thighs engage and fire up here. Next thing is, let's make sure that belly button comes in towards the spine, so we're engaging in core. And then stacking the head, just like we talked about earlier, of head over spine, so that we have this nice straight line posture. And then the shoulders, they like to come creeping up, but we're going to remind them to roll down the back, and we'll stay tall here. Hands can rest on top of the thighs, and let's just take a few breaths in this really great posture here, the posture that our moms are always trying to remind us to find. And this is called staff pose, but it's also called stick pose. So we're ideally making this L shape. It's also called in Sanskrit Dandasana. And to the visual eye, it doesn't look like we're doing a lot, but if we keep all of that engagement and keep that alignment, you should really feel right away. You might even get a little shake in the body. Let's bring that hands up above the head. And even though we're inviting the hands up, we still want to keep those shoulders rolled down the back. Find all that engagement again. Keep breathing here. And as if we're holding this great big ball over the head, we're going to twist over to the right side and just let the hands hover above the earth. Inhale, hands come up above the head. And on that exhale, we'll come to that opposite side, hover the hands above the earth. Gaze follows the fingertips. Inhale on the up and exhale to twist. Inhaling up, exhale to twist. So that one more time on each side. Inhale up, exhale, twist. Inhale to rise, and exhale to twist. Come back up above the head, and then lower the arms so that they're at shoulder width. Roll the shoulders so that they're plugging into socket here, and just hold for a moment. Arms might be getting a little bit tired, legs might be getting a little bit tired. See if you can sit up a little bit straighter and a little bit taller. We're going to start to very slowly tip back. Tip back just a little bit more. And then tip back to the point that you're still keeping this nice engagement, but you're getting that shake in the body. Getting that heat. Maybe tip back a tiny bit more. Using that core to bring yourself back up to seated. Let's do that once more. Start to very slowly. So we're checking in with our core right away so we know what it feels like to engage this core. And we're going to continue to come back to that core engagement throughout the entirety of the practice. Tip back just a tiny bit more. Keep breathing. Engage as we come back up to seated. Now leaning forward, taking a hold of the feet if it's accessible. If it's not, just rest the hands right by the shins. And let's just take a moment to breathe into back body here. Take a nice deep inhale. And an open mouth exhale, release and let it go. Start to very slowly press yourself back up to seated. We're just going to do this one more time, but we're going to flow a little bit faster here. So bring those hands back again up to the shoulder length. We're going to start to tip back and forth. So think about a little seesaw movement, coming back and forth. And you'll notice the further back you come, the more you start to feel that shake in the abdominals, that engagement core. And the further forward you come with the hands, we start to really feel that in the back, but also in the lower part of our legs, in those hamstrings. Just a few more times, shifting back and forth. This is our life nerve stretch. We're stretching the entirety of the body. And then come on back, release those shoulders down. We're going to wrap those legs around and come into our tabletop position. As I mentioned in the first part of the practice, we can use this blanket not only for underneath our glutes, but this is a great time to use that beach towel or blanket underneath the knees. So this tabletop position is something that we go to quite a lot in yoga, but let's make sure that we're checking in with all of our alignment. I want those knees stacked right underneath the hips. And then I'm going to bring the palms down and bring them right underneath the shoulders. Couple of things to protect the wrists. We want to keep those handprints nice and wide. And then also kind of think about pressing into all the finger joints so we're not just collapsing into the wrist. The other thing is if you turn the hands just slightly so you make that L shape of the thumb and that first finger towards the mat. So instead of having the fingers straight on, we just tilt that a little bit so we get that bicep turning towards the front. Hands are right underneath the shoulders. And just like in our staff pose, that belly button comes in towards the spine so we feel that engagement here. Keep pressing firmly into the hands. And one more engagement here, or one more alignment, I should say here, is that head is in line with spine. So we're not allowing the head to jerk down, and we're not kicking the head back. We're keeping that spine nice and long and gaze down towards the earth. So that's just the fundamentals for our tabletop position. We're going to start to grow this a little bit, just starting with the tailbone. Start to tilt that tailbone in towards the rib cage, and then tilt the pelvis back towards the heels. Small movement, but this should feel pretty good, just to keep continuing to tilt the pelvis forward and tilt the pelvis back. Should feel this in that lower back and that sacrum area. So when we talk about hips being tight, a lot of times it is because our spine or our back is sore because our hips are tight. They are all tied together. But a lot of times it is because of this pain in our lower back, and also that shortening of our hamstrings, or the tightness of our hamstrings, can cause the hips and the lower back to be sore as well. Begin to grow this. So the next time that we tilt the pelvis in towards the rib cage, start to round up into the upper back. So feel that ripple along the spine. And now we can dip the chin in towards the chest and let the head be heavy. Keep pressing. Imagine this is our cat pose. So imagine as if you're a Halloween cat and you're really pressing into the hands. And then again, now starting at that pelvis again, start to tip that tailbone back. This time we're finding a back bend and allowing the belly to come down towards the earth, and the chest to shine through the shoulders here. Now gaze is up. Start to very slowly tilt back in, rounding everything into center, into our cat pose. And then come back into our cow pose. So I invite you to play in this cat-cow for a few more moments. And you intuitively know what feels good in the body, so you might want to add a little extra movement, so some hip sways, some head nods, just whatever feels good for you, making this practice your own. And just a few more moments of play here. And when we're ready to come back again into that tabletop position, let's just pause here for a moment. Neutral spine. Now keeping the lower half of the body where it is, I'm just going to release the forearms down to the earth. So taking those elbow points exactly where those palms just were, and then start to shift the tailbone up towards the sky. Melt the chest down and find our puppy pose here. So really getting deep into the shoulders, and should feel good in the spine as well as we open the heart. Keep that belly button up and in. And just take a few breaths. Peel the forehead away from the earth, raise the head back up. Walk the hands again underneath the shoulders into our tabletop position. Now stepping the hands just one handprint in front of the shoulders, tuck our toes underneath, And then start to bring the knees up off of the earth. Take your time to bring the hip bones all the way up and find our downward facing dog. Should feel really good to get this full body stretch. And for this first down dog, feel free to pedal out the feet, bending deeply into one knee while we shift the heel down towards the earth on the opposite side. You can always find a little bit of movement in the head. We want to make sure that we are letting the head be heavy here and hang between the shoulders. Finding some stillness in our down dog. Do not worry about the heels coming all the way down to the earth. We're going to still feel a good stretch if they're just hovering and yearning towards that direction. Without locking out the knees, let's stay here for a moment. Melt the chest back towards the top of the thighs. Remember that rotation of the biceps towards the front of the mat, just like in tabletop. Press into the fingers, like kind of claw into the fingers so that we're not just collapsing into the wrist. Take a deep inhale in and an open mouth exhale, release and let it go. Bend into the knees, take a peek towards the front of the mat. We're just going to take a little walk all the way up towards the front. And when we get to the front of our mat, allow the head to be heavy, the top part of the body to be heavy, and we meet in forward fold. If hamstrings are feeling tight, put a generous bend into the knees. Might feel good here to just kind of sway and let go. So a little bit of check-in with the alignment here. Our lower half of the body is still working. So just like in our staff pose, I want you to think about engaging in the legs and bringing that tailbone up, bringing those kneecaps up so that the thighs are engaged. And that way our upper half of the body can just drape down. We find this traction of just letting it release. Letting all of our problems just waterfall off of our back. Take one more breath here. Now bringing the hands to the shins, start to bring the chest forward, and we find a halfway lift. So that crown of the head is coming forward, and that tailbone is towards the back of the mat. We are not locking out the knees, but we're finding this nice flat back. Keep gaze down towards the earth, and that chin tucked in slightly so we can lengthen the spine. Take another breath here. Good morning, hamstrings. Inhale. Exhale, release all the way down, forward fold. Take the hands and paint them up and bring them to the top of the thighs. Using the thighs to press forward again. Elbows come into rib cage like they're little grasshopper arms, and we find our halfway lift again. Keep breathing here. Find those principles of alignment just like we had in our tabletop position. Keep that chin tucked in just slightly, a little bit more. See if we can lengthen the spine into opposite directions. Inhale. Exhale, melt all the way down, forward fold. Press into the feet, bend into the knees, and we're going to sweep the hands all the way up. Hands are overhead, tall mountain. Release the palms down to the side, widen the fingertips, roll the shoulders back, and just close the eyes down for a moment to feel the feet grounded into the earth. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up, and exhale, gentle the palms into heart center. Bringing thumbs to sternums, thumbs to sternum, and elbows out to the side. Inhale, fingertips come up. Exhale, swan dive all the way down into our forward fold. Hands come to the shins, halfway lift. Melt back down, forward fold. Bend into the knees. Take those arms up, all the way up, tall mountain. And then gentle the palms into heart center. Let's do that once more. Hands come up, melt down, forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. And then melt down again, forward fold. Bend the knees, sweep the hands all the way up, tall mountain. Taking a hold of opposite hand to opposite elbow above the head. Zip the legs together, and we're just going to tilt over to the right side. Take a breath here. Come back to center, and then tilt over to that opposite side, creating this little crescent moon shape and opening into side body. Inhale back to center. Exhale, release the hands and let them float down by the hips. Walk the feet about hip width apart. If you're ever curious what hip width apart is, that's 2 fists right between the toe mounds. So you can always check that out and make sure that you're not too wide or too close together. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up. Left hand stays above the head as that right hand comes down right by the, by the hips. Lengthen into those 2 different directions. Find that opposing directions. So fingertips reach up, and that right hand reaches, left hand reaches down. Taking that upper hand, we're going to sweep it down into the elbow crease of that right elbow. Open out, bring the arm behind. Find that rotation. Breathe as we come in, tuck the chin in, palm in, and then open out. One more time, cross the body, bringing that hand into the elbow crease. Feel that twist in the upper back, and then open out. Release now that left hand down towards the hip. Right hand reaches and stretches above the head. Check out and make sure that we're not locking knees. We want to keep some buoyancy in them. Finding this movement here, taking that right hand over to the elbow crease of that left side. Twist, and then open out. Rotate, bring the hand and the chin in, and then open out. One more time, cross the body, bringing it in, and then opening out. Finding that opposition one more time in those different directions. Then reach the hands above the head, all the way back down, swan dive. Come down into that forward fold. Plant the hands onto the mat. Step one foot, then another foot back, downward facing dog. Shift forward onto the balls of the feet, then lower the knees down to the earth. Walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, and we come into that tabletop position. This is a good time to see if you have those blocks or those books handy and keep them towards the front of the mat. We're going to extend that right foot behind, taking it to hip level and dialing the toe down. Check in. A lot of times we like to kind of sway in the upper part of the arms, but I'm really keep firmly pressing into both hands and squaring the shoulders. Knee comes in towards the chest. Round as if we were in that cat position again, bringing that nose towards the knee. Extend the leg long and find that long spine. Let's do that again. Tuck the chin and the knee in towards center, then extend long. One more time, coming in towards center, hover, see if you can pick up that knee a little bit closer to the rib cage, and then extend long. Bring that knee back into center, but this time we're going to step it to the front of the yoga mat, finding our low lunge. You can always use that blanket to pad up that back knee. And just take a moment here to find that alignment. A lot of times in lunges, we think that we have to crash all the way forward, but we don't want to compromise that joint of the back hip. We just want the stretch and opening here. Bring the hands to the top, excuse me, of that right thigh and grow tall. Roll shoulders down and stack the head above the heart and heart above the pelvis. Inhale, draw the hands up. Roll shoulders down. Now taking that right hand forward, we're going to twist open, bringing that left hand back. Keep pressing into all four corners of that front foot. Inhale, hands come up. And on an exhale, we twist to the opposite side. Inhale, hands come up. And on an exhale, we're going to bring the hands back to that shoulders length like we had in staff pose. So now cactus the heart open, bring the elbows back. Dip chin in towards chest, bring those palms towards the front. Inhale as we open. Exhale as we shift forward. It's a little bit of a balancing act. Keep pressing into that foot. Open up again. One more time. Hinge at the hips, come forward. Open up. Hands raise above the head. Now we're going to release that left hand down onto the earth on the inside of the leg. Stack that right hand above the shoulder and find this nice big twist here. Release the palm to frame the front foot. Tuck that back toe underneath. Raise the knee up off of the earth. And then with a lot of momentum, bring that back foot up to meet front foot. And we meet in forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. Melt down, forward fold. Press into the feet, bend the knees, come all the way up, tall mountain. And then gentle the palms into heart center. Feel that flush of energy. Inhale, fingertips come up. Exhale, melt all the way back down again, forward fold. Plant the hands onto the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Shift forward to the balls of the feet, and then lower the knees down to the earth. Walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, and then extend that left foot behind. Check in and make sure we're dialing that hip down and those toes down instead of opening out. Check in with those shoulders and make sure we're distributing weight evenly here. Knee comes in, round that upper back, nose towards knee. Extend the leg long. Again, come in towards center, hover. Extend long. One more time. Knee comes in towards center, hover. Extend long. Draw that knee in towards the chest. You can always give it a little bit of a hand and step it towards the front of the mat in this low lunge again. Find that grounding. If it's too much to come up and center, you can step the foot a little bit wider, creating a wider base. Take your time to bring the hands to the top of the thighs and find your stability here. Again, we're not crashing forward. We want to stay tall. You should still get this good stretch and opening into the front hip flexor of that back leg. Think about all four corners of the feet being planted onto the earth of that front leg, and knee is stacked right over the ankle. Hands raise up. Take a nice deep inhale here, and exhale out. Lower the hands so they are at the shoulder level, and then cactus the heart open. Dip the chest down, bring the palms towards the front. Then cactus open. Again, rotate forward. Open out. One more time. Bend forward, then open out. Palms reach up high. Left hand comes forward, right hand comes back, twist. Inhale, sweep the hands up. Exhale, twist to the opposite direction. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up. Bringing that right hand down to the earth. Take that left hand up and we twist here. Stack the shoulders over each other. Feel this good opening into the leg as well as the heart. Release the palm to frame the foot. Tuck that back toe under, release the knee up off of the earth, and step forward, forward fold. Half lift, melt down. Bend the knees and sweep the hands all the way up, and gentle palms into heart center. Take a nice deep inhale here, and an exhale, release and let it go. We're gonna keep that right foot forward and step that left foot back. Starting at first with that lunge position, but then take the foot, step it back a little bit wider, and we're going to line up the heel with that back heel or the arch of the foot. Take the hands to the hips and then peel the hips open. So this is our warrior two positioning here. A lot of common misalignment here as we start to allow that knee to come in towards center. But I want you to think about pressing that knee towards that pinky toe side of the mat. And that same thing with that back foot, we're really pressing into the knife edge of the foot. We bend into the knee without shifting the chest forward. We're keeping the shoulders in line with the hips. Now adding the arms and bringing them to shoulder height. Sink down into that knee a little bit more without leaning forward. Gaze over the front two fingertips. Breathe. Now put a bend into that front elbow and release it down to the top of the thigh. Taking that back arm, we're going to sweep it all the way around and through. 3 times in this direction. Raise the hand up and sweep all the way around. One more time in this direction. And then switch direction, bringing the hand back. Big, giant circles. Keep using that elbow to press up tall so we're not collapsing down. And then bring that hand back and raise again into warrior two. Hands come to the hip line. Pivot the toes so that we're turning them to the long edge of the mat. Bring the hands up high into a 5-point star. And then slowly, just like we did before, we're going to swan dive down and come into a wide-legged forward fold this time. Hands can come down onto earth or blocks or books. And notice here where you're distributing the weight in the feet. We have a tendency to either shift towards the ball of the foot or towards the heel. Let's see if you can distribute the weight through the entirety of the foot and allow the head to be heavy here. Long, deep breaths. See if we can keep that crown of the head down towards the earth. Now take the hands to the top of the thighs, dip that tailbone down, and round all the way back up to standing. We're going to stay here with this wide-legged position for just a moment, but turn the toes to the short edge of the mat. Then crouch down, coming into our goddess pose, keeping the tailbone down, but the pelvis floor pulled up. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. And then put a bend into that right elbow again, placing it down on top of the right thigh as we bring that left hand overhead. Keep bending into both knees and breathe. Start to put a bend into that upper elbow, shift over to the left side, and then stretch and reach here. Put a bend into both elbows, hover for just a moment, then place the hands on top of the thighs. Roll shoulders down and away, hold for a moment, then tuck that tailbone down to come up. We're going to walk the legs together and meet at the front of the mat. Inhale, sweep the hands up. Exhale, swan dive all the way down to the earth. Notice how the body is starting to feel nice and warm and supple. Place the hands onto the earth and step back, downward facing dog. Shift forward onto the balls of the feet. Lower the knees down to the earth, into that tabletop area, but we're not going to stay here for long. I want you to release the tops of the feet down and slowly release all the way down to the belly. Zip those little elbows in right by the rib cage. We're going to find a cobra here, but I'd like to give you some alignment issues here too, or alignment, talk you through it. So tops of the feet are down onto the earth. Engage those legs. So those knees should come up off of the earth. Little to no weight is in the palms as we raise the chest up. Lower down. Again, raise the chest up off of the earth. So we're not tossing that head back, we're keeping the gaze down. Lower back down. One more time, press up into cobra for just a moment. Really think about pressing all four corners of the, all of the 10 toes onto the earth and engage in the legs. We're strengthening that back body. Press the palms back down, release the legs, tuck toes underneath, and we're going to shift back again into table for just a moment, then hips come up, downward facing dog. Inhale in, exhale, release. Bend the knees, take a peek forward, and step all the way to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Half lift again, and then melt down. Press into the feet, bend into the knees, and sweep all the way up, tall mountain. And then gentle palms into heart center. Left foot is going to stay forward this time. We're going to take that right foot back, line the heel up, or the arch of the foot with that front foot. Take the hips and open them up nice and wide. And then add the hands right here, finding our warrior two. Check in with all those principles of alignment again. Shoulders over hips, head over heart. Gazing towards the front of those fingertips. Sink down a little bit lower without shifting the chest. Bend the elbow, place it on top of the left thigh. Raise that right hand up, and then let's sweep 3 times in this direction. Use that breath to find more space as we open the arm all the way up and through. And the next time that the arm is upright, we'll switch direction. And notice if you start to collapse into that elbow. See if that elbow can keep you up, that forearm can keep you up nice and tall. Raising the hand up one more time. Then release the elbow from the top of the thigh and find that warrior two. Hands come to the hips, pivot the toes. So now we're on the wide edge of the mat. We're going to do just a little bit more back work here. We're going to find a half lift. So hinging at the waist, finding this half lift. Release the palms from the hips and bring those hands back. So palms are facing up towards the sky. Keep those shoulders rolled down the back. That belly button in. Breathe here. Release the hands down, wide-legged forward fold. Take several breaths. Bring the hands to the top of the thighs. Dip that tailbone down and round all the way back up to standing. Turn the toes to the wide edge of the mat. Sink down again into our goddess pose. Bending now into that left elbow, place that left forearm onto that leg and stretch and reach overhead. Bend the elbow, bringing it down to the right top of the thigh. Reach that left hand up and over. Bringing the hands back to the thighs. Hold here for just a moment. Then very slowly straighten back up. Walk the feet together at the front of the mat. Inhale, last time, raise up, tall mountain. Exhale, melt down. Last time with our forward fold. But I want you to feel here how this forward fold feels from the beginning of our practice. Place the palms down onto the earth, step back, downward facing dog. Shift forward onto the balls of the feet, then lower the knees down to the earth. Tops of the feet come down, lower the belly all the way back down. Elbows snuggle in next to the rib cage. Press into the top of the feet. We're just going to find one cobra here. Raise up, lower down. Go ahead and bend those knees and come back again to our tabletop position. We're going to sit the bottom down and swing the legs out. So bringing the soles of the feet together for a moment in front and knees out to the side. We get a little bit of a deeper stretch into the hips here. So keeping that right knee bent, I'm going to rotate that left knee out to the side. So I'm looking for 90-degree angles here, finding our deer pose. If this is not comfortable to have this pinwheel shape, you can take the knee and stack it right on top of the foot. So just take a few moments to get it adjusted here. You can always use that blanket or that block underneath the hip if it's coming out too high too. So centering the body, bringing the hands behind the body. Start to press that hip towards the front. So we're getting that external rotation and that internal rotation as we press it down towards the earth. Keep tall in the spine. This might be enough sensation for you, or if you're looking for more, you can always come down onto the forearms behind. Breathing. Release the hands from behind, bring the hands up. We're going to twist over to that right side and then bring that left hand on top of the right knee and that right hand, behind and twist here. See again if you can turn that hip so that it's coming down onto the earth. Not come all the way down, but it's hovering towards that direction. Come all the way back around to center, and then step that foot to come around and meet in our butterfly position. Soles of the feet are coming together, knees are out to the side. Let's find a fold here before we go to that opposite side. So bring the hands to the top of the toes, maybe warm them up a little bit. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. We're going to make this an active stretch. So instead of tucking the chin in, we're keeping that head nice and long as we just start to hinge at the waist. Might not come down very deep at all, because I want you to keep that length in the spine here. Keep breathing. And very slowly come back up. Now keeping the bend into that left knee, take that right leg out to the side. So if this is uncomfortable at all, go ahead and just stack and place that knee on top of the foot or the ankle. Ideally, we're looking for the sit bone to come down on both sides, but this one might raise up a little bit, and that's okay. So heard this called a couple different postures. Let's go ahead and come back and then I'll talk about it a little bit. So bring the hands behind, rotate chest up towards the sky, and rotate that internal hip. So we're turning that hip so it's coming down towards the earth. So this posture is called deer pose, which I don't really know why, but I've also heard it called pinwheel, which makes sense because we're getting those 90-degree angles with the bottom of our feet, or our knees, I should say, and our shins. But I've also heard it called cheerleading pose, which I think is appropriate because you can kind of think about people sitting here with their little pom-poms, doing their cheerleading. Release the hands, come back up, raise the fingertips up, Turn the torso towards that left side and we twist here. How does this hip flexor feel compared to the other side? One side tends to be very tight, while the other tends to be a little bit more open. So just notice that without passing judgment. Our body is not symmetrical, so typically one side or the other feels a little more cranky when we go into these postures. Come back around to center. This time, let's straighten both legs out long. Just give them a little shake out, getting the blood flow back into the legs. Bend the knees, place the soles of the feet down onto the earth. Take a hold of the back of the legs as you slowly lower yourself down to the earth. Draw the knees in towards the chest and give them a little snuggle and squeeze here. Might feel good to draw some circles in the ceiling in one direction and then the other. Such a great way to massage out the sacrum and the kidney meridian. Now place the soles of the feet back down on the earth. We're just going to spend these last few moments together in our final resting pose, our Shavasana. Couple options is you can keep those knees bent and allow them to TP in towards each other, or you can extend them all the way down to the base of the mat. Find the space that's working for you, and I really encourage you to spend these last few moments just feeling the nourishment of our practice washing over the body, quieting the mind, removing any tension from the face, from the shoulders, from the trunk, from the legs. Start to deepen your inhale. And let it all go with your exhale. Breathing in and letting go. Inhaling and exhaling. Finding gentle movement in the body, either rolling the head side to side, finding wiggles in fingertips and toes and rotations of ankles and wrists. Draw the hands above the head, point the toes towards the base of the mat, find this beautiful deep body stretch, and then release. Keep that right hand above the head, bend the knees and rotate over to the hips and come into our fetal position, using that right arm to support the head and that left arm to support the body. Take one more pause here, just noticing how you feel in the body after this practice. Use that bottom palm to press yourself all the way back up to seated. And we meet just one more time in our seated position. Draw the hands together at heart center to close the practice. Inhale. Exhale out. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your energy and your practice. I hope you're feeling great in the body and quieted in the mind. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Namaste.